So, welcome to Monkey and Frank. My name is Do, and my body's Dom, and I'm here with my soul brother Yoshi. How are you doing today, Yoshi?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, man. I've been wanting to bring you on for a while now. S- So the biggest thing, I wanted to hear all about your journey with psychedelics because I know that you've done psychedelics pre ayahuasca. When's the first
Mhm.
time that you took any psychedelic?
So I did LSD in my 20s a few times, but I would not call it a psychedelic experience. It was just pure recreational use.
Right.
It was fun, it was beautiful, but I did not have any breakthrough epiphany. So after that, it wasn't only until like 3 years ago that I seriously started doing mushrooms.
And what was the reason why you just did it in the first place? What was the reasoning?
Oh, mushrooms?
Yeah.
Mushrooms are a good friend of mine. I'm gonna call her Jay.
Yeah.
She was on a similar spiritual path as me. We went to the same, Vipassana meditation and stuff like that. So I knew that we had a lot in common in spirituality. And she started doing a lot of mushrooms. So, and I was always curious about doing mushrooms or any substance at least once in my life. So naturally, I asked her to give me some mushrooms, and I did it for the first time about 3 years ago.
And how long had you been spiritual before that? What brought you to spirituality?
I think I was always somewhat spiritual and very much into natural stuff. I remember doing, well, first when I was 19 or 20, I went on a Buddhist, what's it called? Like a 3 day long
Uh,
I don't know what it's called in English, but you do like a ritual in the mountain kind of thing.
like an
Like you find
ashram.
yourself,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Uh, so I did that when I think I was 19. And what else? I was doing a lot of like therapeutic workshops. One of them was rebirthing, which is very similar to Wim Hof breathing, but you hyperventilate and then you go into like a trance.
That's
And that,
amazing.
oh, I love that therapy. If you have a chance to do rebirth, then I highly recommend it. It's very easy to do at home too.
And were you just trying to find God because growing up it was something did you have any trauma that you wanted to heal, that you wanted to get over?
I not think. I, no, I don't think I wanted to heal any specific trauma, but I was always drawn into spirituality, and during the process, I found out that I had traumas and stuff like that.
Growing up in Japan, is
Mhm.
the Japanese culture very spiritual or was it taboo? Like what kind of
Uh,
yeah.
well, like most Japanese people are not religious at all. Growing up, I didn't know anyone who belonged to any religion or who practiced any religious practices. I My family was like that too, and I didn't know what religion my family belonged to until my grandmother died. And I think that's like the only time that Japanese people actually do something in a very religious manner. Only when people die.
What is the process of when somebody dies in Japan? Like what kind of rituals
Uh,
that you guys practice?
so I would say 80 to 90% of the Japanese population is Buddhist. So they go to a temple, and a monk would come to your place, and then he would chant to the dead, and they do the cremation ritual. So when my grandmother died, I was expecting that would be the case with my family too, but it turned out that my family was actually Shinto.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is Shinto?
Shinto is, so Buddhism came from India originally, and then through China, it came to Japan. But Shintoism is the religion that's original to Japan. And we believe that every single thing has soul, and the sun is a god.
That's cool. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
that about you. And what was it like in your heart that brought you to spirituality in the first place? Is it like as long as I've known you, it seems like
Mm-hmm.
you were born with it. Like to me, you
Oh,
were born
totally.
with a trust of life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct? Is that true? Because
You
that's
are
amazing.
correct. Yes, I
What?
was born with it, definitely.
That is crazy. Because I have to say to everybody, like you're the one that really introduced me to the trust of life, which enabled me to be silent mind, to really be here and now, because you can't be here and now without trust of life. And something about you that just, makes it so that you can be so present. It baffles me. So it's nice
Oh,
that
thank you.
it's a pleasure. Um, so tell me about that first mushroom trip uh, from your friend Jay.
From my friend. So first I took 3 grams, and then an hour later I didn't feel anything, so I added 2 grams. So in total I took 5 grams. So as soon as I took the 2 grams,
Okay, wait,
it
wait.
started hitting me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
just
I
because your
remember.
microphone was breaking up. So how many grams did you
Oh,
take
sorry.
total?
Oh, so I took 3 grams first, and then an hour later I took 2 grams.
Okay, so there you go. Tell me.
Yeah. I don't remember the specifics of the mushroom trip, but I remember that the first epiphany I had was that I was there because I asked for it. This place, this time, the reason I'm here is because I asked for it.
So
There's no other explanation.
the reason you're alive, the reason why you're here on this earth is because you had asked to be here?
Not just on the earth, but in this apartment. Like I chose this apartment. I chose this moment to be here. That's why I'm here. That was my first epiphany.
That's amazing. That's
And
absolutely
then
amazing.
after that, I had many other breakthroughs up until ayahuasca, and I think I did like 20 big trips until ayahuasca, and all of them are amazing experiences. Beautiful. Having direct encounters with God was like the highlight of all these mushroom trips.
Did you ever experience any bad trip when you're talking about these 20 big experiences?
I had no bad experience up until I did ayahuasca.
Oh my God, that is crazy. Because you have to tell me. So before ayahuasca, how long had it been since your mom had passed away?
17 or 18 years.
Okay.
No, is it? No, 15. Sorry, 15.
Because I want you just because I know the story, but I want it to be on
Mhm.
record. Can you tell me the experience that you had just before going to ayahuasca with the mushroom god and your mother?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a that was the first trip that I did with the mushrooms that I grew. And I had a love and hate relationship with my mom. Like I loved my mom up until I was maybe 11 or 12, and then after that I hated her. Like I couldn't even talk to her for many years. Um, but then when I was 22, right after I graduated from college, she was diagnosed with cancer, and a year and a half later, she passed away. So during the mushroom trip, it felt like God gave us time and space just to be with my mom. And we did not talk at all. We were just there together, just the two of us. And we understood everything. And I forgave her for everything that she did to me. And she forgave me for everything I did to her. And that was it. We were just there together and we understood completely.
You understood everything that you had, like she understood what you had went through, and you understood what she felt and went through, and it was kind of like a second chance for connection, forgiveness, and
Yeah.
that is so amazing. And when you were in that moment, and yeah, I know you were explaining it when we were doing the trip in ayahuasca. You were like, it's really like the entire room went black. Can you explain like more in detail? Like, where did you have your eyes closed? Was your eyes open? Um, was it just a sensation, or did you really see your mom?
I really saw my mom. It wasn't, we were in darkness. We were in a place that I grew up in. And like physically, in reality, I was like foaming at the mouth.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I woke up, I was foaming at the mouth. And I thought that I would not be able to go back to the reality because I was so far removed from where I was.
So you got an outer body experience. Your body was left behind while you had that experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever experienced that often during your mushroom trip? Or was that one of the, yeah, I want to know.
Uh, that wasn't an unusual case. I have experienced something very similar many times. Um, yeah, that's not an anomaly for me. out of out of body experience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, so now I want to talk about our journey in Peru, because your journey was very interesting. Now, it was really dark,
Yes.
and I want to see if we can just get into the muck of it and kind of paint a picture of kind of what happened. So when when I first saw you in Peru, I remember one of the first story you told me is like, I had such a beautiful experience with the psychedelics. I don't really know why I'm here. Can you go bring us into that process of like, what was your state of mind um, going to Peru, like the entire ride there, and the how did you feel about it?
I was very excited, but I didn't go there for healing purposes. I just wanted to have an experience that was cool. I was so disrespectful to ayahuasca, and I was overconfident, definitely. And I know that that triggered the challenging experience during ayahuasca.
But do you think
And
that sorry for interrupting, like, because
mhm,
I know you went in, and I'm glad that you're cleaning kind of like your closet and giving honor to ayahuasca, because I've noticed the same, that if I dishonor the plant medicine that sometimes she will be more rough on me, but
Mhm.
I really feel like the healing would have been meant to be, like as if that was the like you needed that healing. No matter how disrespectful, let's say, you were towards the plant. That's the feeling I get. I don't know. I felt like called to say that and I wanted
Oh,
your opinion.
hmm
Yeah.
totally, totally. The you know the trip itself was very challenging, but what I got out of it was unbelievable, crazy, beautiful.
Right. So
Yeah.
continue your story. Sorry for interrupting. So you're there.
Mhm. I
Um,
was there. The reason why I went there was because I had to use up my vacation days, and I thought about it's winter. I don't want to go to Europe. Oh, maybe I should go to ayahuasca in Peru. And I imagined like what it was going to be like to do ayahuasca. And okay, the first trip would be like an introduction, and the second trip would be like you're getting a hang of it, and the third trip is like the main trip. And I thought that I needed 4 ceremonies to close this entire experience. And a lot of the places offered only 3 ayahuasca ceremonies. But Arcana have 4 ceremonies. So, okay, so this place feels right. And the retreat started on December 8th, and my birthday was on December 7th. So it was like a perfect birthday present for me. So I decided to go with ayahuasca, Arcana, and went to Peru. And the first ayahuasca ceremony was, again, it was very challenging. During the ceremony itself, which was from like 7 p.m. to like midnight, right? I don't
yes.
remember, but yeah, I just wasn't feeling well, and that was it. But I just vaguely remember the beautiful music, and I remember in the end, I had to sit in front of one of the shamans, and he was singing like to me. And the Maloka didn't have any artificial lighting, so I could see just like a profile of the shaman, and everything else was black. So his body looked black, but I could see the profile of his body. So it seemed to me like some creature from 10,000 years ago was talking to me directly. And that was an amazing experience. But as the ceremony near the end, I started feeling really, really sick. And the ceremony was over, and everyone was like, "Hey, so how was your experience? How was it? How did it go?" And everyone was so cheerful, and they were talking about their own amazing experiences and what they saw. And I remember Steve asked me, "Oh, so Yoshi, how did it go for you?" And I said, uh, "It reminded me of a movie or something like that." And then they left me alone because they knew that I wasn't in the mood for talking.
Yeah.
But I was getting just more and more sick, so I didn't want to be with anyone. So I went back to my room and I lied down on my bed, and that's when the really dark experience started.
Did you
Yeah.
or did you
Mm-hmm.
want it? Is it too hard to share? But did you want it to share that
Oh
dark
no, I can
experience?
share. So it felt like I couldn't tell how long it had been, first of all. And I thought that I was there for like 40 years already.
Yeah.
Like I was lying down there for like 40 years, and I became mentally ill. And because of me, this ayahuasca center has turned into a mental institution. And because of me, there's been hundreds of articles about how dangerous ayahuasca was. And because of me, the relationship between Peru and the United States is no good
Wait.
anymore, something like that.
Yeah, you have to repeat that. That was cutting out.
Oh, because of me, the relationship between Peru and the United States
Broke.
became worse. Something like that. It was like a downward spiral of negative thoughts, and I
But
just couldn't get out of it.
all of it, like everything was
Oh
your
yeah,
fault.
everything was my fault, and I just knew how like mentally ill people's minds worked. I experienced it, and it was just so dark. And the closest description I can use is like a drug addict in an abandoned hospital. You've seen these scenes, right?
Yeah, in the
It
movies,
was
yeah.
sort of like that. Yeah, it was sort of like that. I was in the lowest frequency you
Of
could ever imagine.
and
It
you
was so miserable, so sad, so depressing, so dark.
and that was the first time you've ever experienced these type of feelings, I'm guessing, in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Because from what I know from you is you are a pretty cheerful person and you trust life. So when life gets you down, you have this ability to move forward. Am I mistaken or is that true?
Like on the surface, yes,
Okay.
but ayahuasca revealed to me that, and I had that side to myself too.
And do you know where that side comes from, like in your past?
Oh well, growing up, I hated myself as a teenager. I suffered from depression, and I attempted three. I attempted suicide 3 times. The first one was when I was 9 or 10. I was a very emotional kid.
Yeah.
I was always like either laughing or crying.
Both are purging, both are, yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I could tell that yeah. So ayahuasca revealed that to you. Because I know what you've went through. Suicide has been also in my childhood, and it does make you
Hmm.
feel crazy, like makes you feel like you don't belong. And for me, anyways, it's like, man, my life is it's pretty good. Why am I feeling this way? Kind of, So it makes you feel a little bit crazy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so as you're going through this period now, you're alone, you're inside that room, and I know the
Hmm.
rooms were pretty dark. You probably had the light closed, if I'm not mistaken, in your room.
Yes. Hmm.
Right. So what happened next? Um,
So next, I was just feeling so sick that I had to leave the room. So I went outside and then leaned against this handrail, and someone came up to me and asked me if I was okay. And later on, I found out that it was Wayne. But I was just so sick that I couldn't tell who it was. But I told him, I'm okay, I'm okay. I'll be able to handle this. And then, and all this time I was seeing these crazy images of all these dark objects and scary things. And I went back to my room hoping that you know I'll be better, but then I didn't. And I think at some point my roommate Tony came back, and I realized that I have to ask for help. I didn't want to die. I needed to ask for help. But Tony was already sleeping. I think I said, hey, hey, hey. But then he didn't wake up. So I got out of the room and started walking, looking for someone who was still awake. I think it was already like 3 or 4 at that time. And I couldn't even walk straight because I was so into the depth of this crazy darkness.
Yeah, the medicine.
Yeah, and then I walked and walked, and then there was this group of local Peruvian guys, and I talked to them. Hey, excuse me, I need help. I need help. But then they didn't understand English, so I kept walking and walking, and then I saw Morgan and Lauren sitting on the porch. So I snuck up to them, and I said, excuse me, excuse me. And then they didn't hear me. And I said, hey, hey. And then Morgan realized I was there, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here. And I told him, excuse me, I need like serious, I need medical help. And then I think he got up and then went to the Maloka to get Jose, and I think Lauren stayed with me. And I would like to ask them what they thought of me right at that time, because I was so ready to die, and I was ready to kill myself if I didn't die there, because I just didn't want to keep living like this. I was trapped somewhere between life and death, and I knew that I would not be able to get out of this.
And more
So
than that,
finally,
wow. Sorry, I now continue. Finally, yeah.
so finally, Jose came, and then he asked me, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I can't get out of it." And he blew smoke at me, and he made me drink straight lemon juice. And somewhere in my mind, like, what is he doing? I was thinking, what is he doing? I'm like, I need medical help. I don't need this shamanistic ritual. Like, I need some like doctor's help. But he blew the smoke at me, and then he made me drink lemon juice, and then he told me to rub agua de Florida, the flower essence,
Yeah.
on my hands, and then he told me to inhale. And then as soon as I inhaled it, I snapped out of it. Like immediately, I came back to me. And that was like the most relieving moment of my life.
That's that's crazy because for you it felt like a lifetime, like 40 years. Yeah, the medicine has the ability to mess with time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were in that state for 40 years. And then as soon as you smelled that aquafina, is that how you say it? Aquafina
I
water?
think agua de Florida or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Agua de
Flower essence, right?
right.
Flower water. Yeah.
Yes. It snapped you out as if for real that has like an energy cleansing ability.
Yeah.
But and I remember you being attached to that water throughout your time in Peru. But so after she showed you that,
Mm-hmm.
what was your feelings? Because now your entire world just crashed down. You were there for vacation. You were there with super high expectations of what it was going to be like. What are your thoughts now? What's happening? Are you
Okay. So after that,
yeah.
it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. So it was getting brighter and brighter. The sun was rising. The sun was rising, and I snapped out of this very difficult trip, and I cried so much in front of Morgan and Lauren, and I told them like everything about my life. And I realized that like before the ayahuasca ceremony, we had like a private talk with the shamans and the facilitators, right? And we talked about what our intentions are.
Yeah.
And mine were, I think I had three, but I don't remember all of them. But at least one of them was I wanted to wake up every day being excited about the new day starting. And there were two other ones, something about my career and something I don't remember. But I remember that morning, like all of my intentions were answered. And I, I felt like I reached the state of nirvana that morning, and throughout the day. The only the only concern I had was like, what am I gonna do after I come back to New York? How am I supposed to live? The only option I thought I had was become a monk.
I remember uh, that next morning you were walking as if you were a monk. You were
Yeah,
contemplating life. You were quiet. Anybody that would say hi to you, you would just nod and you would continue walking. And it was you and your awareness. And I guess
yeah,
that thought,
yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling. Yeah, all I could do was walk, like very slowly.
yeah. Because I remember being like me myself, like my first ceremony was just pure pain, like the
Mm,
same as you. Ayahuasca revealed for me because I had the same expectation almost of you as at least she's gonna show me, maybe some psychedelics, maybe like I didn't know. I had never taken psychedelics before, but she revealed that my anger, my frustration was all there was. And until, well, I didn't know, but it was just pure pain and suffering and
mm-hmm.
frustration. But anyways, the next day when I saw you, people were talking about like, hey, Yoshi went through a hard time, and so people were just concerned, and I was not coming from myself. I didn't know what was happening. I just knew that you were going through something, and it looked like you were at peace and contemplating life, but I didn't know if you were happy or unhappy. But I'm glad that you're telling me that you experienced kind of like nirvana, and that you were just concerned on what was going to happen when you went back home.
Yeah, it wasn't like happiness or sadness. It was like, I don't know how to explain. It was like just like seriously just being myself, like 100%. That was it. And being in the moment 100%. It was like that kind of awareness.
And what's your relationship with shame? Like, are you one to get shameful easily, or you're pretty good at handling other people's opinion of you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Yeah, I don't really pay attention to what other people think.
That's good. It comes with the trust of life. It's very important.
Well, and also like what I think of others, like even if I think of, like for example, if I think you are something something, but like I'm not gonna change the way I treat you, right? So why? Like, should I worry about what other people think about me? No.
No, I mean, it's a beautiful saying. You really made me think there for a second because I grew up with a lot of shame. And because of
Mm-hmm.
that shame, it did make me change who I was with different people. But I noticed that with the ayahuasca group, the ayahuasca family, anyways, by the end of the week or by the end of the third day or the Thursday, then I
Mm-hmm.
realized what it's like to be fully yourself in front of people without shame. And it's such a freedom. So, did you? How did you always experience this feeling of not caring what other people think from a very
No, not until like I was in my early 20s, maybe, or maybe around 20. Like growing up and as a teenager, I had a lot of chance. Yeah, I was very concerned about what other people thought about me.
and what was the catalyst? What changed?
What I think it was a realization that, oh, like what, nothing really matters. Like no other people's opinions don't really matter, I guess. I think at some point I realized
That's such a beautiful realization. If
that.
wow, I mean, I wish that on everybody and anybody. It's a hard realization, but once it clicks, you're like, all
Hmm.
right, I feel good. But
Yeah, yeah.
and even when I came back from ayahuasca, I had to practice shame resilience. I called it for like a good 2 months straight, and I think I've got it pretty good now, like of not caring like at all of what people
Hmm.
think, which is such a freeing experience. Like again, I wish that on everybody because
Yeah.
it does not matter. Like it's crazy. The fear that arises from caring of what other people thinks brings nothing good in your life.
Hmm. Exactly. Just be yourself.
Yeah. And if other people think if other people don't like you, that's their problem, period.
Exactly.
And if they're not
You don't need
honest,
them.
no, no. Yeah, exactly. And that's amazing. It must have been your energy that rubs out. Like, I mean, the entire ayahuasca journey
Hmm.
really opens up your eyes to your traumas. And one of my traumas was shame. One of your
Mm.
trauma was the darkness of suicide.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
The
Hmm.
darkness of suicide, like during that first trip when you saw those black entities, can you describe them a little bit more for me? Because yeah, I want to know. Like, it almost seems like they're like demons or like dark, not demons, but I want to know more. Like, what's your opinion on those dark entities?
Like visually,
Yeah, sure. And
uh,
emotionally, like everything. Like, do they?
emotionally. Hmm.
Yeah,
Uh, Visually or emotionally, I think it's very similar to like death metal music or like Marilyn Manson kind of music, that kind of visualization.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, I remember seeing like it wasn't to me. It didn't feel like a hallucination. It just felt like I'm seeing the reality from the lowest frequency. So I was lying down in bed and then I was looking at the wall, and the wall is there, but I would see like uh, dead tree around on the corner, or like snake coming out from the corner or something like that. So it wasn't so much about hallucination. It was just being in the lowest frequency that you could ever imagine.
I think I know what you're talking about. There is so the first few mushroom trips, not the one with you, but
Hmm.
after that, when I came, because my first mushroom trip was with you, and when I came back home from New York, I did another mushroom trip soon after, like 6 grams of B plus, I believe. And while I was going through just pure horrible darkness, like it was bad trips basically, but for a reason. As I was going through those bad trips, it was like everything was decaying. I would look at my plants and they would decay, like get smaller and
Mm-hmm.
smaller. I would look at my hand and everything would start decaying. I'd look at my wife's face and the entire room would just like decay. And I was stuck in this frequency of decay for like most of my trip until I was able to purge and purge and purge. But I didn't know, like, I thought that that was just normal, but I felt like just this heavy blanket of suffering on my shoulders. Um, Now, I never went to suicide, but I'm guessing it's almost kind of the same thing, except with suicide. You know, me, it was just sadness, like of not being able to look at suffering, sadness, decaying, as if I have a problem with death. Yeah, pretty much. Like it was my fear of death, and it
Mm,
and it shows you what you're afraid of until you kind of surrender to it and be like, okay, I see, or I you purge whatever needs to be purged. Um, so now you've for you it's I guess that blanket of suicide, darkness, lowest frequency. And as well, you're choosing life, but the thought of choosing death is right there because it would be way better than staying in that frequency,
yeah.
right? Yeah, because fuck it, right? Let's just go towards the light kind of idea. Because you
Mm-hmm.
believe in God at this point, right? You know that if you
Yeah.
die, you're going back to love kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. Right. So that
But I remember actually, like if I had a knife then, I think I would kill myself, and I don't think I would have felt the pain physically because I was like mentally I was in such a pain already that I don't think I would have felt the pain.
wow. That's a crazy realization. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It's dark, but it needs to be told. It needs to be, that's your journey. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you. So now that passed, you got the help. You drank. You not you drank, but you smelled the flower water, and it
Yeah.
totally snapped you out of it. And the next day, you feel nirvana. You're walking as a Buddhist monk. um like I said, I was concerned, but I could see like you were zen, like I could just
Uh-huh.
the zen Yoshi was walking around. So what happened now the next day, let's say?
The next day, so
Yeah.
in the second step, well, so I felt like I got all the answers. So, during the sharing time the next morning or that morning, I told everyone that, okay, I'm not gonna do any more ayahuasca or any um, psychedelics anymore. And so I wasn't gonna do any more ayahuasca, but then the ceremony started, and I wanted to be at the ceremony, and I went to the Maloka, and one of the facilitators asked me, "Okay, I know that you didn't want to do ayahuasca anymore, but I highly recommend that you take just a microdose to connect with everyone." And and then that hit me, and I realized that, I had this fear of going back to the dark place again, but also I had the fear of losing what I attained, nirvana. And I realized that I had to let it go. So I did a microdose that night, and I don't remember the details of the ceremony, but I enjoyed it, like witnessing everyone's experiences, and I was feeling their pains and their happiness or whatever. So I had a great time.
Yeah, it was relaxing. Yeah.
It was relaxing, and the music was beautiful.
Yes.
I didn't have to puke.
And no feeling of puking at all came up. It was no discomfort, I mean.
No,
That's amazing.
nothing. Yeah.
All right. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that I remember. So then we get a break where we just enjoy nature, we enjoy the day. And most of the days while we were there was pretty beautiful. Yes, it did rain, but like minimally. It was so
Yeah.
amazing. So a nice break. And now I think the next day is Sapo time, and you did Sapo. Can you share
I
with
did
us?
sapo, and I smoked sapo, and I could feel that I was going up and up, and I saw these clouds, and I was going through the clouds, but then I came down. That was it. And then, I got up, and then I told the facilitator that, oh, I didn't feel anything. That was it. And I tried it second time again, but then the same thing. Yeah, I didn't have a breakthrough,
Right.
which was okay. I think I had a fear of letting myself go.
Yeah. You were
Hmm.
holding back, and
Yeah, I was holding myself back.
the medicine um, did not push the issue.
Yes.
Yeah, I do find the medicine as like a mind of its own, and if you're not ready, I like how it can be gentle. I guess in my case, it was very profound.
Hmm.
I don't know if you were there when I did mine, or if you
Yes, I
witnessed.
was there. Hmm.
You did?
I was there. Yeah, you were like punching a
S-
pillow or something.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, do you remember when I did it? Like, like, I wanted just the beginning part. The thing that I want to know the most is like, did I lie down back and did I open my eyes and just turned around and started punching the pillow slowly, or did I go straight up as, two hands, a full on gorilla breath? Like, just the beginning part. Do you remember? Or,
In the beginning part, uh, you weren't punching violently. It was like, but, 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 right?
yeah, okay,
And I think you had your eyes closed.
okay.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I was in the gray world and my eyes were open in the gray world, but I didn't know what it looked like on the outside. Because when I came back, I
Hmm.
knew that I was punching the pillow, but I didn't know how violent it was. But that didn't matter. Like the shame that arose from that event was insane.
Mm.
But it was amazing though after I went, because same with you. Uh, After I did my Sapo experience, I felt so much energy and so much shame because it felt like it was the first time I experienced shame in my life because everything that all of my trauma I had left on the pillow. Like I was free of all my trauma. My body was free. Then I went out.
Wow.
Well, I didn't know yet because when I came back, the shame was so great because I had seen Anthony screamed. I had seen Morgan scream, I'm Jesus Christ. I
Hmm.
had I had seen people cry and I didn't know who I was going to be. And when I noticed that I was a gorilla and I had cried, I guess as I was punching, I was going through something. I went outside to get away from all of you guys because it was so quiet. When I woke up, the entire freaking room was so freaking quiet and everybody was looking at me and I was like, holy shit, like stop looking at me. This is crazy. I need to process. It was so profound. And so I went outside and I asked for help, and it was again Lauren and Morgan. And Lauren and Morgan was like, "How come this always happens to us? Like in a good way, kind of thing." And then they helped me. I held their hands. I told them all about my life, my traumas that I just experienced from my shame
Uh-huh.
from here to there, and I cried it all out. And then as soon as I finished crying, I realized what just happened, that I had no more trauma in my body, like none. I was free for a full
Wow.
afternoon of trauma, like free, absolutely free. No more shame, no more
Hmm.
anger, nothing. My body was clean. Like, and I realized that all of your trauma is registered or it's locked into your muscles. like every single
Mm,
part, your back, everything. I was free, man. And I don't know if you know, but like in the third ceremony, for me anyways, she put all of that shit back into me, saying that I need it and you need to learn to live with your trauma. And I was like,
mm.
fuck. Just like you, you were Zen, you were Nirvana. Like, I'm good. Why would I take more, right? So now tell me about your third ceremony.
Okay, so the first ceremony was that I just knew that I had to go back to the dark place again and just face it and then resolve it. So I did the full dose plus the second dose, and I think that was the only time that I actually puked during this entire time. And I puked, and as soon as I puked, I went back to the dark place. But I knew that I could ask for help this time. So as soon as I saw it, I asked for help, and then the facilitator came and he brought me to Jose, and Jose gave me the same, lemon juice and the smoke and agua de Florida, and I thought I was fine. I can handle this, and I went back to my spot, and then I just kept sniffing agua de Florida for the rest of the ceremony. And the ceremony was over, and I was fine. So I took a walk, and I think that was the night that we saw the rainbow lit by the moon before the ceremony. So the moon was so bright, and I got out of the, I got outside and I started walking, and then this anxiety came back, and I knew that I had to go back to the Maloka, and I went back to my spot, and I got this bucket where I could puke to, and I think I was just alone. But then Wayne came and Zam came, and everyone was there for me. But then I wanted everyone around me.
Yes.
I thought that I wouldn't be able to go through this without like everyone's help. So I asked Jam to get everyone, and then a lot of people came around me, and then it
Everybody
was
came.
so beautiful.
Everybody was there. And we all stood
Yeah,
around you. And after a while, I know you wanted like the female energy around you. And then all the girls surrounded you, and all the guys were around the girls. And we just gave you space as you were going
yeah.
through your thing. And you were so quiet. Yeah. Tell me, what was
That
going
was
on in your
such a
mind?
beautiful experience. What was going on? Uh, what was going on? I just needed everyone. I realized that I couldn't live by myself, I guess. I just needed everyone around me. And at some point, I just wanted women around me.
Yeah.
I realized I didn't want any aggressive male energy at that point. So I just wanted this, accepting female, welcoming energy, the like soft energy. Yeah, so that was that.
Yeah, I remember that. Because that
Mm-hmm.
night, like after that third ceremony, when she put everything into me, uh, like I was so tired because that was such an experience to have all of your traumas re-injected inside the body. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you asked for everybody, we all went around you, and I remember just I was falling asleep but I wanted to be there for you, but I was
Oh,
so
thank
tired.
you.
And yeah, we just stayed there for a long time, and then some people would go to sleep, and kind of people would just like eat a little bit and everything. But yeah, I'm so glad, and it's so cool as well that you have the courage to ask for help. Like just that
Yeah,
alone, when I saw that, I was like, that's amazing. like
That was one thing I learned, to ask for help. When you need help, you have to ask for help.
yes, yes, and it's weird, but it's hard. It's super fucking
Mm-hmm.
hard to ask for help. And you did it in the, like, especially after that first ceremony, like you did it at your worst, like at your fucking worst. Like you said, if you had a knife, that's it. And you still ask for help. That's freaking awesome. It's super honorable. I
Thank
respect that
you.
so much. So now let's continue. So now
Mm-hmm.
uh you went through it, and after a while I guess it just dissipated, like the feeling just like it let you go into a higher frequency.
Well, I think I was just physically tired and I fell asleep. The
Right.
next morning, I couldn't talk at all. So, like, some people, like, I remember Steve wanted to talk to me. I couldn't talk, so I wrote down my thoughts and I gave it to him. Pretty
That's
sweet.
cool.
Yeah, Steve and Laura, I think. Yeah, I shared my thoughts with them, and then they would read and they would talk to me. Yeah,
And what was it making, like, why couldn't you talk?
I don't know why. I didn't have the energy, I guess.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So now the week is starting to end. You've had two kind of very profound experience, but
Hmm.
dark. Did you have any disappointment or any type of negative feelings towards your experience at this point, or were you accepting of all of the teachings, uh, no matter how dark they were?
Oh, totally accepting. No
Nice.
regrets. Yeah.
That is crazy, man. You are strong. All right. Like I'm blown away. I really am. And I've known you for a while now, and you blow me away every single time. All right. So fourth ceremony. Tell me
Fourth
about it.
ceremony was again, I did a microdose, and I was just sad that that was the last ceremony that we had.
Because
Yeah.
of everybody that you've met, because of,
Yeah, like it was only for a week, but we bonded together so well and so profoundly. And it was the last ceremony, and the next day, we had to leave.
yes.
And I'm someone who almost never felt lonely. But I remember, like, after we left the jungle and we stayed at the hotel, and I realized that, okay, like some guys were leaving the hotel that morning to go to the Sacred Valley,
Yes.
and I felt lonely. Like, wow, I feel lonely, and that was like the first time I felt lonely in a long time.
So it's crazy you say that. Like, did you have some walls that made it so that you were not lonely? Like, what is it? The vulnerability, I guess, of being cracked open, like like a nut.
Why I felt lonely that time?
Yeah.
Like, I think because we, created these relationships that was so profound and deep, and I just knew that I would miss all of them.
Yeah, I have to
And that's
admit.
not something that you can experience on a daily basis, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you can spend a week with your coworkers, and you know nothing happens.
Yeah. Now you guys, the ayahuasca family, that you guys, anyways. Yeah, I've never had anything so any friends that are so profoundly connected. I've
Yeah.
never, yeah, I had never experienced that before. Like it created a lot of fear, actually. Like not like the loneliness was there, but the fear of losing you guys was like it was really showing me how insecure I was. That's for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, so when you came back
Hmm.
from New York, how was your integration? Were you able to go right back to work, or was it difficult? Tell me a little bit of your emotions on when you came back.
Well, first of all, I physically almost died, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
Like, I had E. coli in Peru, I think on the last day, maybe at the airport, because I was fine. Like going back to New York, I was fine. But after I arrived in New York, I started feeling a little sick. And the next day, I had a high fever. And I think 2 days later, I realized that, okay, this is not good. And I went to the emergency room and I stayed at the hospital for 2 days, 2 nights. So that was one, like, not a near death experience, but like I could have died.
Yeah.
And because I live in America, even though I had health insurance, they charged me $7,000.
Yeah.
So I financially almost died. And but going back to work was okay, but I knew that mm, I needed to make some change, but gradually was okay. I thought that I didn't have to make a radical change at that point. But after that, it was just life became so crazy because COVID started, and in March, I was in New York, and New York was like the hot spot in the States. So I was in New York, and it was so bleak. All these sirens, and all the stores were closed. No one was on the street, and but during that time, I when I got back together with my ex-boyfriend, Peter, who I was together for 4 years from 2009 to 2013, and I always knew that I wanted to be with him, like even after we broke up. So we started spending more. So I moved to my apartment about 3 years ago, and then he moved to his new apartment, which was in my neighborhood, like 6 months after I moved in. So we started spending more and more time together, and then we got back together in March, like in the beginning of the pandemic. Uh, but Peter had lymphoma, so he was sick, and then his doctor had told him that if he had COVID, he would die. So I had to be very, very careful. So every time I would come home, I changed my clothes, took a shower, and sanitized myself. And I was just being very, very careful. And a close friend of mine got COVID, and she was in the ICU for 3 months. She was in an induced coma for 3 months, and she's still disabled. So it was so bleak. But at the same time, I was with Peter, so mm,
Did
very
you
difficult time, but at the same time, I was very happy. Mm-hmm.
like in your previous time with Peter, did he have lymphoma back then too? Like I'm not too sure of how lymphoma works. Is it a disease that he always had, like when you were dating him?
No, no, he did not have lymphoma. Started having, he became sick like 6 months after he moved into his new apartment,
Which was when you came
which
back from
was
Peru
like,
or
no, before.
before?
So about a year before he passed away in June. Yeah.
And do you mind sharing what was the reason for the breakup?
Uh, okay. So he hated winter, So he took an early retirement and then he moved to the Philippines in winter. And that was like 3 years into our relationship, I think. And we just weren't as connected as before, I guess. We were connected, but at the same time, we weren't physically together. And we also, almost never, we weren't sexually intimate in our relationship. And I was fine with it, but he thought it was a problem. And that became like a bigger problem towards the end. And we decided to like we decided to part our ways, and we also realized that we just relied on each other too much. So yeah, that was it.
And when you went to Peru, did you know that he
Hmm.
had lymphoma?
Yes.
And was that hard to learn, or you were okay? Tell me, what were your feelings about that?
Mm, mm, when I was in Peru, I remember texting him from Peru, but I just didn't think his sickness was that serious at that point.
Right.
Yeah, same with my mom. Like I didn't know. Like, I knew that she had cancer, but I didn't know how serious it was. So I didn't do anything special. Like I knew that Peter was ill, or he had lymphoma, but I didn't think that it was. I thought that with current uh, modern medical uh, advancement, I thought that maybe he'll be cured.
And when you,
So mhm.
yeah, and when you came back from Peru, now your heart is fully open. What was it that made it so that you wanted to go back in the relationship? Like, what was the, yeah, I'm curious.
What was that? Oh, I was ever since I met him, I knew that he was the one.
Right, right.
Hmm.
And yeah, and yeah. So you started dating him again. He has lymphoma, and yeah, continue that journey. I feel like that journey is so important.
Yeah, so we got back together in the middle of March, and in April he was fine. In May, he spent most of May in the hospital. He came home only for like 2 days, and then went back to the hospital, and then never came back. What was difficult was I couldn't visit him in the hospital because of COVID. So they didn't allow visitors. So I would bring him his laundry and whatever he needed, but I had to wait for his nurse to come down and pick up the stuff, and that was it. We would talk on the phone, but I could not physically be there for him.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it out loud. Like that fucking sucks on so many
Yeah.
levels. I mean, fuck it. Like fuck, that sucks. Um, but so you knew that he was in the hospital. You knew that it was not going well. But now I want to know, like, I know you've already shared this before, but your relationship with death, for
Hmm.
others, is that something that still scares, not scares you, like, because I'm looking at it from my perspective, right? I had trouble with death, right?
Hmm.
You seem to be one to, you were okay with it. Were you still okay with it? Like the idea, like, okay, the person that I love the most is gonna die. Of course, it's difficult, but your relationship with that, was it good? knowing that, like, did you know again that he was going to go into the love world, right? That was still
Right.
a stable thought in your mind?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Uh, so tell me about um, when, because I want you to share it out loud. I want to hear it again. You had an opportunity to spend his last moment though with him, right?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit? Because that's spiritual on its own. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
so.
totally.
Can you tell us?
Well, first of all, before that, I would like to share with you the mushroom trip that I did 2 weeks before he passed away.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yes. And you witnessed it.
Yes. Yes.
So actually 3 weeks before he passed away, I did 5 grams and I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And that was a that was a mushroom that I grew. So I thought, oh, maybe these mushrooms are not strong enough. So I decided to do 10 grams, and I took 10 grams of mushrooms.
Wait. So you took 5 grams more after
Yes,
an hour,
a,
right?
a week a week later.
And I just want to share to
Mhm.
anybody that's listening. I've done this before. When you grow your mushroom and you ingest your mushroom, it's a lot more powerful than if you would just buy mushroom off the street. There's something about it that's insane. So please continue. I just wanted to like preface
so,
how crazy that is. 10
mhm.
grams
so,
of mushroom.
so a week after I did 5 grams, I did 10 grams. When you do mushrooms on the come up, you feel cold, right? Usually, like
Yes.
I get really cold, so I like taking a bath and warm my body up. But I was in the bathtub and the water started looking green, and that's when I realized that, oh my god, this is not gonna be good. And I freaked out and I called you, and you told me to, okay, just calm down, breathe, focus on breathing. And then you stayed with me, I think, for the rest of my trip. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And from my perspective, I was in the backyard. I had my friend that I just reconnected, rekindled kind of relationship with. And as
hmm
soon as you called me, I remember because I was practicing presence. Presence was like a big thing for me.
hmm
I was a, you had taught that to me. Like you were the one that was, in order to be present, like just trust life. And Corey had showed me about like my body. So when you called, my friend was right beside me and you said, "Hey, I just took 10 grams of mushroom. I think I'm dying." And I remember looking at the phone and I'm like, okay, like that's my evening. Like I'm looking at you and I'm not going away. And my friend was beside me and I said, "Oh, this is," because I was talking to him as you were going through your stuff, but I didn't stop looking at that phone the entire time, like straight up. The entire time I was looking at you, and my friend was talking to me. It's like, "Hey, I hope you don't mind, but Yoshi needs my help, and I'm just like, I need to be here for him." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem, of course." And even when he left, like I was looking at my phone as he was leaving, and I was talking to him, kind of like on the side, saying, "Hey, sorry that happened, but." I'm here. And he's like, no, I totally understand. And I'm like, awesome, because I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here for Yoshi, period. Like, there is nothing else in my
Oh, thank you.
awareness the entire evening. So continue your trip. I just wanted to share where I came from. Yeah.
Mhm. So actually, I remember during the trip, in the beginning of the trip, and I was on the phone with you, and that's when I told you about Peter being in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I
told
didn't
you.
even know. I didn't even know about Peter. Like I
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I told. Maybe I had told Laura about that. Oh, I have a boyfriend now, but I didn't tell her about his illness.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, during the trip, I felt like I had to tell you.
yeah.
Okay, I'm in this relationship with a great guy, but he's in the hospital. And then, even when I was telling you all this stuff, I was like, I wasn't. I remember seeing God at some point, and then came back, and then it was like a roller coaster. And then at some point, I went to the pearly gates, and it was so, it was beautiful, but it was also a little scary. And there was this God, and everyone in my life was waiting for me at the gate, and I realized that, oh my God, this life was all about me. It was not about people in my life. It was all about me. Everyone was just cheering for me and waiting for me in the end. And but I had to tell God that I had to go back and I had to live. Peter was still alive, and I could not die before Peter. So I told him, I have to live. I have to live. I have to live. And then I was able to leave the pearly gates, but then I realized it was too late, and I, I realized that I'm dying, and so I called Peter. He didn't answer the phone. It was like 11 p.m. And I started tidying up my apartment because I didn't want to die in a mess.
I remember
And I
that.
think you were on the phone. Yeah, you were on the phone, right? So I told you, okay, I'm dying. I'm dying. And everything became so quiet. And I lie down in bed, and I realized that again, that I realized it was all good. There was nothing that I had to worry about. It was all meant to be. And as I realized I was dying, I was in bed, I realized that my life itself was already an illusion. This whole thing up to this point didn't even exist. What mattered was only this moment, and the truth is there, only there in this moment. So, like as a last supper, I guess I had like orange juice, and I felt the orange juice rejuvenating my body, and that was the truth was that I existed only in the moment. The person who was born out of my mom was not me. It was like a different version of me, but it was
Yes.
not me. The only person, I was just here. I've always been here and nowhere else. That was a realization.
Yeah.
And then, okay, now I can die. And then I waited for the moment, but then I never died. So I got up, and then I got up, and then I had water or something, and then realized that, oh, maybe I'm not dying.
Yeah. But
Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
you were telling me like, because what I saw from my, like, I remember you had like two deaths. You had you were telling me like, I just died. My spirit, my spirit or my soul died. And that's, I guess, when you went to the pearly gate. I remember you were telling me this over the phone, and I was like, that's okay, like a surrender to the feeling. And I didn't know if I was saying the right thing. I was new to this, being there for somebody as they were tripping hard on the mushroom, right? So I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
gonna surrender, you got this. And And it's like, and you kept saying like, I'm dead, my soul is dead. And I guess that's when you were doing the pearly gate thing. And then when you came back, you're like, my body is dying, I'm dying. And you started cleaning your apartment because you wanted your apartment to be clean. And then when you lie down, I think we disconnected for a little while, but when you called me
Yeah, yeah.
back, I guess
Hmm.
that's when you tried to call Peter. And when you called me back, you were telling me how your body was so cold and how you like you were getting colder and colder and like, okay, I'm ready to die. Like I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm dying. And yeah, and then I'm not too sure what happened after that, but I guess we hung up and that's when you realized that you were not dying. But I remember like you had two death that night. You had the soul death
Yeah.
and you had the body death. And that was so profound because it was so profound, like how you were executing, like you were not panicking, you were not scared. I could see in your face that you were accepting of what was happening. And I remember like I don't know if it's that trip or other trips in the future, but like, I want to live, I want to live. And you were not fighting, you were just saying, hey, that's what I choose. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. But anyways, just from my point of view, it was really profound. It really changed my life in many ways to see
Oh, thank you.
somebody
Hmm.
being so accepting of death.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
yeah,
hmm
tell me. Yeah, no, go
so
ahead.
I had that mushroom trip 2 weeks before Peter died.
Yeah.
And so Peter passed away on Tuesday. And the Saturday before that Tuesday, I was finally allowed to visit him in the hospital. But I knew that that only meant he was dying. That's why the hospital started allowing friends and family members, only two at the time. But so anyway, I went to the hospital and I saw Peter. When I went into the room, I think he was with two of his doctors, and he asked them to execute themselves. And so I was there with Peter, and he told me that the only reason that you were allowed to be in the hospital is because I'm dying. And what did I say? I think I said, I know, I know. And I told him that when I die, I want him to be the first one to welcome me at the pearly gates. And I told him about the mushroom trip that I had just seen. So there'll be the pearly gates. Neither one of us is Christian, but that's what I saw. So I told him about the pearly gates. And I told him, when I die, I want him to be the first one to welcome me. So that day, we spent the day just like every day. We played Can together. Do you know Can? It's
No.
like a Sudoku,
Okay.
like a puzzle game in the New York Times. So we played Can together, and he called some friends, and I stayed at the hospital. I didn't think I would be able to stay at the hospital, but I did. And the next day, so he basically just wanted to spend the rest of his final days just with me. But I felt, I don't think I didn't want to be like that. I wanted his mom to be there. So I talked him into it. The next day, uh, Peter's mom came. And when she was there, I left the room and I went back to my apartment, took a shower, and And then I went back to the hospital in the evening. And yeah, and he started, you know, he started becoming more incoherent, and he was getting more and more things. And that was it. My at 1:15 on Tuesday, he passed away. And that morning, actually, I left the room like around 8 o'clock because I had work, and I just didn't know how long he was gonna last. So I left the hospital at 8, and I think Peter's mom came around 9. I got a call from the hospital around 11, so I went back, and then when I got to the hospital, Peter was there, and Peter's mom was there, and Peter's mom told me that if you needed some time with Peter, just let me know and I'll leave. So I asked her to give us 5 minutes, and I said to him, "Wait for me." Then his eyes opened, so I think he heard me, and that was enough for me. So I asked Peter's mom and then nurses to come, and the nurses started injecting whatever to induce death, and then he passed away.
That is profound. That is so
Yeah.
profound. Was Peter ready? Like I know he was young, but I mean in his last days, like did he surrender?
In the end, I think he wanted to live.
Yeah, of course, of course.
He wanted to live.
The reason why I ask is, did it leave any scars? Like of course it left scarred the fact that he died. And but I'm talking like I don't know how to explain it.
In me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Thanks for
No
sharing.
scar. It was just an amazing experience. An amazing experience.
When I listened to a few podcasts, whatever, about death, and after Peter passed away, did you have a chance to stay, just stay, like be there with the body, and like kind of, to not rush things. I hear that in those moments after there's some, it's like an experience that not should be shared by everybody, but it's really profound. Can did you experience that?
Yeah, Peter's mom and I stayed for maybe for like an hour, but that was it.
And because I know you,
Mm-hmm.
how did the room feel? Like did was there an energy? Was there a presence? Did you feel any spirit, like a spiritual anything, like a stuff?
Oh well, when he's actively dying and after he passed away, it just felt very sacred.
That's a good word.
Like we were experiencing the end of someone's life. There's nothing more sacred than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Everyone was honoring his life. The nurses and doctors.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is
Mm-hmm.
so cool. Um,
Very
yeah,
sacred. It's like God's work,
yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, man, thank you for sharing that story,
Of course.
and thank you, Peter. Like I'm not afraid to say that, like he's here. Period. That's it. That's all. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with this fear of, you know, not having faith. And that's something that really solidified in the last month or so. Like, fucking, I believe, man. Period. So thank you, Peter. I know you're listening.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
I talk to him every day.
That's good. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Uh, because I know that in the trips after that, I was there with you a few times, and uh, you have the ability to, with the mushrooms, to just go on the other side and see the dead. And
Yeah.
it, can you share just one of those stories?
Yes. Uh, should I share the first mushroom trip after his death?
Well, of course, that's profound.
it was the it was it was as scary as ayahuasca trip.
Yeah.
And I knew I was dying. And then that's when I started texting, texting everyone from ayahuasca that okay, I'm dying. And then I sent them a picture of me and Peter in the hospital bed, and then I was explaining to them what the dying was like. And then I I also like in the beginning of the trip, I knew that it wasn't gonna be good. So I called my friend and I asked her to come help me. And like after I finished texting everyone, okay, I'm dying, bye. And then she came, and then I had to open the door. So I got up and then opened the door, and then realized that, oh, I can get up. Then why don't I just drink water and then calm down and then just keep living?
Yeah, because I think I was on the
Yeah.
phone for that one as well, right? You had called me.
Yeah, but I think I called you like after. Oh
Because
no, no,
yeah,
during the trip
during,
too.
because
Yeah, yeah.
I remember you were on the phone, and then there was a knock at the door, and then you went and opened it, and then your friend came in, and I was able to, not able, but like I remember just talking to you a little bit, and then you closed the line, like the phone, so that you could, I guess your friend took over. But I
Uh-huh.
remember, what I remember the most was you kept saying over and over and over again that you wanted to live and you couldn't get out of it. And it was actually scaring you this time around. Like you
Uh-huh.
were, I want to live, I want to live. And Peter's here, and and I want, what I remember is when you saw Peter, you were happy to see Peter, but soon, like really, really soon after, you went in the state of mind that you did not want to die and you wanted to live and you wanted to live. And I couldn't understand where you're coming from because Peter was there. And but there was a fear there, right? Like the, because you were afraid to die at this moment because Peter, it's like as if Peter was coming to get you, like you asked.
Well, so the first trip after Peter's death, I didn't see Peter. It was
Uh,
like it took, when was it? Maybe like 4 or 5 months after he passed away.
oh,
And in that trip, for the first time, I saw Peter and I talked to Peter, and he was just on the other side. I don't know how to explain, but he was on the other side, but in the same space, but in a different dimension, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, and I saw him. I talked to him, and he didn't say a word, but I knew what he was trying to say. So I told him, "Okay, I see, I get it.
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I get it. You've been here. Okay, but I have to go back and live, keep living. So just
Yeah,
let me live. I'll come back. Wait for me. It was so like that, right? You saw
Yes,
it.
yes, 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 I remember. Yeah. Oh, I
I
want to
think it
live.
just yeah. I don't think that came from fear. Actually, it came from my desire to live. It
Right.
wasn't. It didn't come from the fear of death, but because I saw Peter and I realized that he's here. He's always been here, and I can always see him. So I had to like keep living and you know live until the day I die.
This, do
So
you,
it wasn't anything.
no, no, it's okay. Uh, it wasn't anything based on fear,
No, it wasn't based on fear. It was like more. It was something from something more positive. I wanted to live. Yeah.
but the reason why I say but is the mushroom still makes you feel like it could kill you.
Yes.
Yes. Do you still have this not fear, but like, is it something that you went through? I don't remember. Like, did you pass through that? It's not. It's weird because I know it's not a fear. Like, it's a wanting to live, but the idea that you believe during the mushroom trip that you have the possibility to die through the mushroom, is that something that is untrue and it's just the mushroom making you feel that, or do you really believe that the mushroom could kill you with the proper state of mind?
I think they can.
You still believe that to this day?
hmm I
Okay.
think. Well, I believe that everyone chooses to be born, to live, and chooses to die. That's what I
Because,
believe in.
yeah, but
So
choosing
even
to
during mushroom,
die, yeah, no, no, continue. Sorry.
so even during the mushroom trip, if you strongly believe that you're dying, I think you can die.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot. And
hmm
my response was always like, maybe a Buddhist monk, has that ability.
Uh-huh.
But I shouldn't doubt. I have to admit, like, if you really believe that. So does the mushroom at this point, I don't know when's the last time you took a mushroom trip, but does the mushroom still bring you there where you have the ability to die if you so choose to?
Yes.
Still to this day, it does that again and again and again.
Well, I haven't done it in at least a month, but
Right.
I do go back to that state. Yes.
That is something else, like, because I've been pondering on that a lot. And it seems like in your world, in your life right now, until it lets you go of that,
hmm
it makes me wonder, like, why do you think the mushroom is showing you this?
Yeah. I hope they will stop showing me that.
But did
But
you
there
ever,
was something that I had to get out of it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. What did you get out of it? Did you get anything out of that other than, because obviously we all know, like I know, but you want to live, like, period. Like, you've got such a trust of life, you've got such an affinity for life, even though you've experienced great loss with Peter. I can
hmm
see it, like, you are excited about life. Am I mistaken?
I am excited. I will continue living. Uh, yeah, I think I'm very lucky to be born. I think everyone is and experience this amazing, amazing life. It's miracle. It's a miracle.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, just being alive is such a miracle. It's amazing.
And more than that, the mushroom has showed me, like, on top of being a miracle on its own, there is so many souls, so many life that has died just for you to be here, like, so much. And on top of that, like, it's like he doesn't have to. Like God is doing it for love. Like he doesn't, you don't have to be here. Like it, there's no purpose, but the purpose is you. So that makes it even more special. Like he's doing it out of the grace of love of God, and everybody that died before you is supporting you, pushing you forward. So you've got like millions and millions and trillions of souls pushing you forward just for you to be alive. And
Yeah,
that's something else. So
I know.
so I'm still gonna go back to, why do you think the mushroom is showing you this? Because have you learned your lesson, or do you feel still like you know what I mean?
Have I learned my lesson? Probably not 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it still related to that suicide low frequency kind of thing that you still need to heal?
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
Definitely. Hmm.
Right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that brings it really full circle. Man, that's deep. Thank you so much for sharing that, because
Oh,
that's,
of course.
I'm sure a lot of people, and I mean, just from my point of view, like suicide is no joke. Like it is no joke. And it's weird how a person get attached to these ideas, because it's an idea, right?
Hmm.
The the idea that I would be happier on the other side than here, even though we have such knowledge and wisdom to why we're here, the miracle of life, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So the balance is, again, insane. Like for the idea to still linger, it's crazy. And I really appreciate your fight, man, because I want you to live. Personally, I want you to be here.
Yeah. I want to live.
Yes, yes. We'll continue journeying until we unhook, I guess, that trauma from you, or that whatever's uh, lingering.
Hmm.
We're going to continue the fight together, because I know I'm still struggling with it. Sometimes it catches me off guard, like, really? You're still here? But all right. Like, I'm sure, I thought I had grown, but I mean, maybe that's the point, you know, the because I see it as a faith, right? Every moment as I'm living, when I'm experiencing something that's shitty, it'd be like a fight with my wife or whatever it may be, um, to go back to faith and to say, like, okay, I have faith, there must be a purpose. It's hard. And but it's so necessary. It's like, I deserve to live. I want to live. I should be living, and I choose so with the grace of God or love or whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to age. I want to know what aging is like.
It's weird, because as I'm going through spirituality, it feels like I'm getting younger in my
Hmm.
but I know my body's getting older, so I'm getting like this weird dichotomy of, like, I know my body's going to start to break down more and more, but at the same time my soul and my spirit feels younger and younger.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Hey, thank you for being on the podcast. Do you have anything else you wanted to share? Because I'm all ears. I want to know all about you.
Oh, anything else? So, I have Peter's ashes with me, still in my apartment, and the reason why was because I wanted to scatter his ashes in the ocean, but I didn't want to do it with Peter's mom. But I didn't want to do it without Peter's mom, but because she
Yeah.
was getting, you know, physically weaker and weaker, and last summer she couldn't do it. She couldn't come out to the beach. Uh,
Yeah, elaborate on that story. So Peter's mom got sick right after Peter passed
yeah.
away.
So after Peter passed away, I became very close with Peter's mom. So I would go visit her. She lived by herself on the Upper West Side.
She had just lost her husband, Peter, and she also lost her daughter, who was killed in a car accident when she was only 19 or 18. So she was all alone, and it was during the COVID um, crisis. So her family, her extended family members, all lived in New Jersey or Canada or Baltimore, so they couldn't come visit her. So I would go visit her, and we would have dinner together, and I would fix her computer, and we developed this friendship. And in February, she fell and fractured her hip bone. So she was hospitalized, and she went to a rehab center, and she came home sometime in March, but then she became weaker and weaker, and she stopped taking medications, and she passed away about 3 weeks ago. So when she was alive, I wanted, when I die, I wanted my ashes to be scattered with Peter's ashes in the ocean. But I thought that I wanted to let it go. So I decided to scatter his ashes now that Peter's mom's uh, Peter's mom's gone. I wanted to scatter his ashes this summer, and I wanted to let it go and still feel okay with it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you're preparing almost because
Mm-hmm.
it's a momentous event. It's sacred.
Yeah, it's sacred, but it's Peter or anyone is here. It's just his ashes. I think they need to go back to the nature.
Yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's no but. The thing that I've been learning lately, though, is that the body, gave his life, its being to Peter's soul in order for Peter's soul to grow, right? That's so honorable. What the body did for Peter, what the body did for Peter's mom, it's something to honor. Like you say, when you put it back into Mother Nature or whatever you believe in, there's a there's an honor to that. And I feel from the bottom of my soul that the connection that is between the body, Peter's body, and Peter the soul, um, is still doing work for Peter as you do these type of as you remember Peter, as you uh, do something with the ashes of Peter. So even though we know that we are not the body, there's a connection there that is undeniable and is actually it's something to respect to the utmost. Like, because for a while I thought like this ego, this body is just kind of helping me to grow, and it's it has no choice and everything like that. In a way it's true, but the more you honor it, the more the growth, uh I see it in myself anyways, the more I see it, like how important it is to honor it, even if it breaks down on you, and anyways, so what you're doing for the ashes, I feel like it will affect something about his soul, for growth, for the
Mm-hmm.
better. So I honor that. Even,
Yeah.
it's not something to be dismissed.
Hmm.
Personally, I mean, that's my belief. Do you
Yeah.
have, yeah. And I really like the idea that you went through two, again, death during this COVID time from people that you really love is is so honorable. And the way, I don't know, like, I'm so proud of you. That's all I can say. Like,
Oh, thank you.
you're the man. Like, you are the man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was well, mm, it was very, when I was going through it was very difficult, but at the same time, what an amazing experience that was.
So I'm glad you say that. For anybody
Yeah.
that's hearing this, like, it's when you do it, like, and when you go through those difficult times, which is, I feel, one of the most difficult challenge you can do in your life, like, to hear it from somebody's point of view, like, straight up, it's magical, worth it, and it's so spiritual and amazing. Like, coming from you, like, it gives me so much courage that if I see this type of event in my life, that I'm not going to run away, that I'm not going
Hmm.
to be so scared, like, that I'll cry openly in front of them and say, like, oh no, I'm crying because I love you. It's going to be so magical what you're going to go through, to encourage them as well, to not dig, like, to be there for somebody with honor and not just be like, yes, I'm sad, yes, I because I love you, but I'm not sad because I'm scared. I'm sad because of love. And that's what you're
Hmm.
showing me. You're, yes, it's scary to go through these feelings, but you did it with trust of life. That's why I feel like your words are magical right now. It's a lot more than just doing it while being afraid. You did it with mm, life.
Yeah, well, I guess that was the only way I knew how to live.
That's a great teacher, man. Like,
No.
you know,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that. Like, it's yeah, that it's the only way, but it is the right way. Like, you,
Yeah. I
eh,
mean, everything's gonna be okay. In the
yes,
end.
man,
Yeah.
you inspire me. You
Oh,
really
thank
helped
you.
me so much go through that fear of death that I had. Like,
Mm.
the perfect teacher. It's like God presented me with the perfect teacher because I'm doing the work. And thank you for being that
Oh,
teacher.
thank you. Thank you for being there for me all this time.
That's easy for me because I love you so much. That's easy for me. That's the only way I could, like, just like you just said, that was like the only way I could do it. That's the only way I could do it too. I've got so much love for you, and it's who I am. That's it, man. I love you. There's nothing else.
Love
All
you
right.
too.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Do you have any final words?
Final words. Mm, I think being honest and being humble and being brave are like the three key elements of life. That's my recent discovery.
Those are the golden nuggets from Yoshi. Well,
Yes, being humble, being what else did I say? Being humble, being honest,
yes,
being brave.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Like those things for me, like the three adjective that you just put forward, is all represented for me as what I've learned lately is honor. Like, that's honor. If you're honorable, you're gonna say the truth. If you're honorable, you're gonna be courageous in the face of fear. And yeah, love, and yeah, you're the man. Thank you so much, Yoshi.
Thank you.
My
Love
pleasure.
you.
Love you too.